Well, hello and welcome to the Topher Project. My name is Topher Field and I help busy people like you to keep up with the world as it changes around you. One of the challenges that we're facing here in Australia today is the question of tolerance. And is there such a thing as too much tolerance where you actually tolerate the intolerant, which leads to the downfall of tolerance? It is the tolerance paradox, but we're living it in real life here in Australia. Because we've been a very tolerant society, we have been very welcoming and allowed all sorts of people who don't necessarily share what would historically be considered Western Anglo-Australian values to come in and share in our wealth and prosperity. And the question is, have we begun to tolerate people and things and ideas that perhaps might lead to a downfall of tolerance here in Australia? One such person who is asking himself that question and is doing something about it is Nick Patterson, and he joins me right now on the Topher Project. Nick, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, mate. I appreciate it.
Now, you're no stranger to the Topher Project. You and I have known each other for some years now. You were someone who stood up during the COVID times against government overreach and against their locking down of ordinary citizens, and in particular, as well, the closing down of churches at a time when people really needed them. It's no surprise to me that you're someone who is taking a stand now on what you perceive to be another serious issue and an area that needs to be spoken about. Tell us a little bit about this issue that's got you standing up and how you're choosing to stand up.
Yeah, well, it all stems from the I think it's called the Ashura. It's like a rite of passage. It's a holy day for the Shia community where they mourn the death of their prophet Muhammad's grandson, because they follow a different line to some of the other, like another line of authority from Muhammad, right, from some of the other sects, right? So I'm learning all this as I go. Now, they did this march and they stopped at the St. Patrick's Cathedral, which is the largest cathedral in the country.
Yep.
And they encircled it and they were beating their chests. This appears to be very aggressive. I received so many messages from people. They were shocked, they were angry, and I believe it was an act of aggression. Whether or not this community believe it is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is, many of us are not going to tolerate people who are coming over here into our country, which has a culture and a history that is Christian, and desecrate our Christian heritage. We're not going to accept it, and it's never acceptable to circle around a Christian monument and be beating your chests like that. It's just not acceptable. And it really did look like an act of war. Now, I'm sure the Muslim community would say it's not. But you don't. I mean, imagine if I took 3,000 people to the local mosque and we encircled around it and started beating our chests facing it.
Yeah.
They would perceive that as a hate crime potentially. So we're just standing up and saying we are not going to accept it. It's never acceptable. And I think we need to demand an apology from their community for what they've done. Yeah.
And there's an important distinction to draw here, Nick. Certainly from my perspective, I'll let you speak for yourself. This isn't about Islamophobia. This isn't about saying that people who aren't Christians are not allowed to come into Australia. This really is a response to what appears to be an act of intolerance towards Christianity and towards Christians.
Yeah, and I think even more than that, any reasonable man or woman would know that if you're of a different faith and you circle around somebody's religious monument and you start beating your chests and chanting, that can only be taken as an act of aggression.
Yeah.
Right? So for them to think that it's okay to do that, totally unacceptable. And I think because I know a lot of people in the Islamic community. Obviously, I coach fighters. I've worked in many gyms. I've been to many weddings.
Yep.
And I know how these people are in general, and you have to take a strong position with them. If you don't take a strong position, they won't respect you, and they'll see it as a sign of weakness. And we have had our Christianity diluted and weakened through all the cultural Marxism. You know, you've got homosexual priests, supporting all sorts of different activism, whether it be, climate change, whatever. So this is happening to our churches. And as a result of that, a lot of the younger generation are completely uninspired with Christianity, but they don't really represent Christianity. A lot of the Christianity, the real Christianity, which is very strong, all you're going to do is read your Bible and you'll see it's a very strong and powerful book.
Yeah.
If we start to operate in that fashion and we start to apply that kind of Christianity, the true Christianity, I believe it'll be a great opportunity to invoke some inspiration to that younger generation to actually want to be Christian again. And I think I look at things as opportunities. So I saw what they did with some outrage, but I thought this is a great opportunity for the Christian community to come together in strength and in courage, and to actually stand up for their beliefs and their convictions.
Yeah. And again, not about kicking anyone out of the country, but about saying, hey, actually, we've tolerated you, and we're not going to accept you not returning that particular favor. Now, this is the flyer that you've put together here, defending what matters, our God, our values. Now, this is for July the 27th, which isn't far away, in the Fitzroy Gardens down in Melbourne at 2 p.m. Tell us about this event. What is the purpose of it, and what are you hoping to accomplish?
Yeah, look, I'm hoping to get lots and lots of people there to stand in solidarity for our Christian faith. And what it does is, if we get lots of people there, it will show clearly to the Islamic community, because it's going to be filmed in a lot of channels. This information of what actually transpires will it'll go through their community. They're going to see it, and they will see that we are a strong people, and I think this is an opportunity for us to become strong, to actually work together and become cohesive as a community of Christians. And I think it's sort of like a separation of the wheat and the tares. I think a lot of people that can come that won't are the ones that probably aren't the stronger Christians. I think the real Christians that have that courage and conviction, that realize what's at stake here, will turn up. Because they will realise that this is our time. If we don't stand up now, it's going to be much harder later on if this continues to escalate the way it does, or the way it has in other countries, like in the UK and throughout Europe. So the idea is we come together. We'll have a prayer. We will have a few speeches. It's not going to be too long, and then we're going to walk. We're going to walk somewhere. I'm not going to say where we're going to walk yet, because it might be a bit of it might create an issue, and we don't know if we're going to be able to go there yet. So I will announce that on the day, based off all the logistics, and then we're going to do one more prayer. We'll do the Lord's Prayer, and then we'll finish up. And it won't be an all day event. It'll be probably like an hour, and then it'll be over. That's all we need to do to show that we're here and we're not going to tolerate it, and we're actually strong. So if you're a Christian warrior and you believe in our Christian heritage, and you believe that it needs to be protected and defended, then please turn up and show some support to this event. And I actually I didn't really want to do this, because I thought this is going to be really hard. I'm going to get so much heat from people in the community where I live. I know that a lot is going to, I'm going to get in trouble within the fight community, but I just don't care. I think they've just gone way too far with this. I find it really offensive that a whole community of people will have the nerve to think that they can surround our biggest cathedral in our country and to do what they did. It's just, to me, it's astounding. I would never think to do that to anyone, even if I really didn't like them and I thought they were the worst people on the earth. I still wouldn't think to do something like that religiously, and they did. So to me, it just shows the nerve and the disrespect. So I think we need to return that, or show some offense and actually go out there and potentially, we might even go and turn up to one of their mosques, not in aggression, but just to say some prayers and let them know that we're not going to accept it. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but what I do know is if we do nothing, this will continue, and it will get worse, because we have over 1,500 years of history to be able to reflect on and see, and we know that if you don't take a strong position and you don't show that you're not going to back down, and that we are not going to accept it, they will see that as the green light to continue to do and treat our monuments the way they have. So that's the I guess the spirit behind it. It's just, let's turn up, let's get there, let's say no more of this. We don't accept it. It's unacceptable. We will not accept it in our country, and this is a Christian country. And I know, as you would understand that a lot of these mosques, they talk about conquest, they talk about taking over that's their modus operandi is to do that soft jihad first, and then they increase it, and then they start to become more aggressive once the population increases in the community. So we just need to take a stand now rather than later, because it will get a lot worse if we don't.
And we can look at places like Sweden and like the UK, where that is exactly what's playing out. Their numbers have increased to the point that they've begun to get, as a group, they've begun to get some political influence, and they're beginning to use that influence not just in peaceful political ways, but also in some far less pleasant ones. As a libertarian myself, I'm a Christian, but I'm also a libertarian. And in fact, my libertarianism stems from my Christianity. I don't believe that we should be using coercion or force for the purposes of religion, but nor should we allow coercion or force or intimidation to be used against others of varying faiths. And this is what we're talking about here, is making sure that doesn't become the norm in Australia. What's been the official reaction? Have you had any contact from the police? Are there any concerns? We know that people have been allowed to protest repeatedly ad nauseum in the city over the Israel and the Palestinian situation. Chants including death to the IDF and various other things have been said. And as far as I'm aware, with a handful of exceptions where there have been some consequences, broadly speaking, the police and the government have taken a complete hands-off approach to all of that. Do you think you're going to get the same courtesy?
Yeah, I don't actually know, because the police force has changed quite a bit in recent months. So I don't know. I don't really care. I just feel completely inspired. As much as I didn't want to do this, I knew inside I've got to do it, because if I don't do this, somebody else will do something, and I want to make sure it's done correctly, and we make sure there's no controversies that they can make, and that we can justify every position, every statement that we make, that this is unacceptable, and we're not going to put up with it, and we have a reason to be doing what we're doing, because it's a reaction, and it's a reasonable reaction to the aggressive position that these members of the Shia community took against a Christian monument. And I know there's people that might think, well, that's a Catholic. You're not Catholic. It doesn't matter whether it's the idea that it presents in the minds of people that are watching. Because there's a lot of people in this community that don't even know if it's a Catholic, Protestant. They don't know which church it is, but it represents Christianity in the minds of nearly everybody. And then you've got these other people that represent Islam in the minds of pretty much everybody as well. Encircling this structure and beating their chests and chanting. So the idea that's presented there is an aggressive one against Christianity. So we need to take a strong position against not so much against the community, but against what they've done, and give them an opportunity to rectify the situation.
Against that action. One of the reasons why I respect you as much as I do, Nick, is because you've proven yourself to keep a level head under some pretty significant duress. I've seen, obviously, the videos of you interacting with Victoria Police during the lockdowns when you were taking a stand then, and your incredibly impressive composure and self-control and ability to maintain that composure under duress. Unfortunately, not everybody has that. Are there some concerns that that what you're doing might be seen as an opportunity by some hotheads out there that maybe want to create the very controversies that you're trying to avoid? Are there measures in place for that?
Yeah, we do. We have a group called the Peacemakers that we used at our rallies during the COVID lockdowns. And we have a lot of other people now, a lot like a much bigger network that's built up from there. So I'm very confident that we'll be able to manage those issues. But ultimately, they're variables we have no control over. So all I can do is I think about what potentially might happen, but I try not to worry about it, because if I worry about it, then that creates doubt and fear, and I don't want to do that. I just want to focus on the task as best I can, and ultimately we're going to be praying for the best outcome and a positive one, and outside of that, the rest of it's up to God.
Well, hotheads, stay away. Those that are people of faith that would like to peacefully make a firm statement that we are a religiously tolerant society, and we are not going to tolerate the intolerance. That's the tolerance paradox in real life. It has come to life, and defending what matters is going to be happening at July 27th at the Fitzroy Gardens at 2 p.m. And of course, that is 2025. Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining me here on the Topher Project. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. God bless.